Okay, will the MLS eventually expand to 32 teams? As of next year, there'll be 29 teams in the MLS, which is, the highest football league or soccer league for North American fans that there is in North America. Again, it's a franchise-based system, so there's no promotion relegation, which is obviously different to our European systems of how football, soccer, is governed. I've got to get used to calling it soccer for North American viewers in relation to this video. It's frustrating, I know. Now, currently, as of this season, there are 28 teams in the MLS. But yeah, next year, St. Louis City SC, soccer club, will be joining the league as the 29th team, most likely joining the Western Conference. Nashville will probably be the team that is relocated from the Western Conference to the Eastern Conference. They may stay a Western Conference team. However, you look at some of the cities that don't have an MLS franchise, it's very, very interesting. Pittsburgh and Detroit do not have franchises. Sacramento do not have a franchise. Phoenix do not have a franchise. So you can sort of see that if Nashville were to move to the Eastern Conference, you get a lot of those Western teams or cities to have a team, for example, and it then would balance the league quite nicely. Now, we'll go through the Eastern Conference, then the Western Conference. They're in alphabetical, not geographical order, so alphabetical order, going just alphabetically, rather than clockwise or anti-clockwise around. What I did notice, a lot of teams in Florida, a lot of teams in the northeast of the US on the eastern seaboard, and Southern California heavily weighted down there as well, where there's big clusters of teams very close together, which is very interesting, and a couple of teams in Texas as well. So that is quite striking to me. Also, there's no team in Vegas, which I think is a big miss. I think if the MLS is to make a lot of money and grow rapidly, Vegas as well is another location I would put a team if I was a betting man, which I'm not. No pun intended. Right, Eastern Conference. We start with Atlanta United FC, Charlotte FC, Chicago Fire FC. No Detroit, by the way, which I find, there's no Detroit team, which I find stunning. FC Cincinnati, Columbus Crew, DC United, where Wayne Rooney is now manager. Inter Miami, David Beckham is the owner of that team. Phil Neville, his former Man United teammate, is coach. CF Montreal, New England Revolution, New York City FC, and then you've got the New York Red Bulls. Now, New York City FC is owned by the same people who own the Man City ownership group. So there's a link there. New York Red Bulls, obviously Thierry Henry played there for a while. Orlando City SC, Philadelphia Union, no Pittsburgh team, which I find striking because that would be a great rivalry. And Toronto FC, no team in Ottawa. So I'm making comparisons with the NHL because that's a league I know a lot about. A lot of similar locations to the NHL, like with two teams in New York. There is no team in New Jersey either. Another one. There's no Newark or a team like that, or Atlantic City team, which again is quite striking because of the New Jersey Devils being the NHL franchise that plays out of New Jersey. So there's room for a possible franchise or two to possibly go into what is currently the Eastern Conference to make it 32 teams. The Western Conference is interesting as well. There's no San Diego. Which is interesting. There is no Vegas. There is no San Francisco, although San Jose is in the Bay Area, but there's no San Francisco. Very interesting. No Sacramento. So if you follow the NBA, Major League Baseball, the NFL, those are locations in California where there are teams. But there are two teams in LA, which is very similar to Anaheim and the LA Kings in the NHL, for example. LA Chargers and LA Rams as well in the NFL. Clippers and Lakers in the NBA. So the LA area, much like New York, two-team location. But there are some interesting ones. So you've got Austin FC in Texas, you've got Colorado Rapids, FC Dallas, again in Texas, Houston Dynamo in Texas. There's three teams in Texas. Let that sink in. Sporting Kansas City, LA Galaxy, Los Angeles FC, Minnesota United FC, Nashville SC, which I think is a team that will move to the Eastern Conference at some point to geographically balance things. Portland Timbers, Real Salt Lake, San Jose Earthquakes, not a San Francisco team, which I find interesting, not a Sacramento team, which I find interesting. So if you're a fan of teams in California or locations in California, that is quite interesting. Seattle Sounders FC and the Vancouver Whitecaps north of the border. There's only three Canadian teams. Again, another interesting thing that I noticed. Now, Toronto will always have a team. No, it's in the Eastern Conference. And of course, the expansion team is St. Louis City SC. So, locations that could possibly have a team. You could possibly have another team in Canada. Ottawa, for example, could have a team. Edmonton or Calgary could have a team. Winnipeg could have a team. Locations that have major league franchises in other leagues that you could have a team. Vegas. Vegas is a prime location right now. Obviously, the Golden Knights have been a great success. The Raiders have moved from Oakland, and it looks like the Oakland A's, the baseball team, may also be going there. The NBA hasn't even got a team in Vegas yet. So, if the MLS is serious about really expanding and making a lot of money, really improving their revenue streams, Vegas is a very, very good, attractive location right now, and it's a rapidly growing city. There's no team in Sacramento. There's no team in San Diego. Of course, that Mexican, Latin American influence, especially with Mexico co-hosting the upcoming World Cup in 2026, the one after Qatar. Very interesting. So there are locations in the West and in the East. As I say, there is no team in New Jersey. There is no team in Detroit. You could put a team in the Western Conference in Detroit or the Eastern Conference. So that is a very interesting one. But there is room for manoeuvre for the MLS where they decide to go. The fact that St. Louis are joining is most likely going to push Nashville into an Eastern Conference team, which then means if you're going to expand further, 2 more in the West, 1 more in the East, and then you have a balanced conference kind of system. But you may keep Nashville in the Western Conference, which means you've got to find 2 locations in the East. I think it's more likely that Nashville is the team that's moved into the Eastern Conference. 2 more teams are added to the West, 1 more to the East. A Detroit or a New Jersey would be perfectly fine. The Western Conference, that gives you a bit of room for manoeuvre for, let's say, a Vegas, Sacramento, a Phoenix as another location, a San Diego. Phoenix would make sense on a bit of the geography, considering you've got real Salt Lake there in Utah, and you've got Colorado Rapids, 3 teams in Texas. Would make a little bit of sense with a bit more geography. A Vegas team would make a lot of sense as well. So there are locations, and of course, Sacramento were applying to be a team. Stadium issues have held them up. But where would you place a future MLS franchise? How would you make it a 32-team league with the current franchises in place with St. Louis joining? I just want to hear back from people because I don't do a lot of videos on the MLS, but I'm very, very interested to see the feedback, the interest, and what North American fans want from this league. Do they want this league to make 32 teams? Is there the fan base there? Is there the growth in the sport in North America to sustain a 32-team league in the majors? Like, can it compete with the big four major leagues for revenue, interest, attendance numbers, viewership on TV, sponsorship, and improving the quality of the game in North America? That's what I want to know. Could there be a team put in Mexico, for example, like a Mexico City or a Guadalajara? That could be interesting. There's been rumours about that before, about expanding into Mexico. I just want to hear back from you guys. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Please place your thoughts below, and I'll have some more content for you very, very soon.